Welcome to MetalCast, the podcast where we're turning up the heat on all things metal, roofing. On this show, we'll explore the world of metal roofing from its durability to design, expert insights, and more. Join us as we bang out the details on the toughest roofs in the game. Get ready to unleash the power of metal roofing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of MetalCast from MetalCoffeeShop. My name is Karen Edwards, and in today's episode, we're going to be introducing you to AJ Manufacturing, and I am thrilled to welcome the president, Todd Carlson, to the program. Todd, welcome.
Thanks, Karen. Great to be here.
Yeah, so for those who may not know who you are, could you do an introduction, tell us a little bit about you and your background and maybe how you got where you are today?
Sure. I've been with the company 21 years. I'm local to western Wisconsin, born and raised in Eau Claire, and Bloomer's about 20 minutes north of that area. I had done some number of years, about a dozen years, in the heavy highway equipment industry. Moved with a company, and we found ourselves in the Milwaukee market, looking for an opportunity to get home and raise our kids in western Wisconsin. And I had some contacts with the folks here at AJ, and it was an opportunity to join the company. It's been really a great ride in those 21 years.
Wow. Yeah, that's a long time. You know, you don't see a lot of longevity nowadays. And so, for working a company that can keep its employees for that long term, that says a lot about the company.
Yeah, I appreciate you acknowledging that. We have a list, and I think I'll approach being on the list one of these days. A lot of folks with near 30 plus years tenure. We've had some folks get into the 40-year tenure range. Most of our management team has been here quite a while. We see turnover. We are a traditional manufacturer, and sometimes folks join us in the plant in particular to try to gauge their interest in manufacturing. And it's not for everyone, but for those who find a fit, we've got a good culture, and they find that it's a work balance, and then a good place to work balance, has some friendships.
Yeah, for sure. And the company's been around doing this for over 50 years. Can you share the story of how the company started and maybe the evolution to where you are today and what you're doing?
Yes. It may be a bit of a typical story where you have an entrepreneur. In our case, it was Mr. Ludke, who was a salesperson. This is how I understand it. Salesperson selling metal awnings and handrails in the Milwaukee market. He met a girl who happened to be from the Bloomer area, and as they started their family and his aspirations changed to be from a salesperson to a manufacturer. They bought an old creamery building, and we're still in it with our offices in Bloomer, and started the business. And it evolved from that very narrow focus to, once you become part of a small town like Bloomer, people ask, hey, can you do this? Do you have one of those? There was a connection to the agricultural market. And I think the story goes, someone asked, could you make me a door or a part of a door? And that sort of catapulted AJ, or Ludke Enterprises at that time, into door manufacturing. It changed hands a number of times over the years, and some ownership as it was going through cycles of being everything to everyone and none of it particularly well, to very focused production and product offering. When I joined the company, it had really, I think, stabilized is the right way to put it. It was in its infancy in one product market that's about half of our business, and that's doors and wall panels for industrial HVAC manufacturers. And the other half is our post frame focus, doors and windows for pole barns. But at that very same time, the company actually was spinning up a third division, deep draw stamping and continuous metal processing. So across town is a firm, Process Metals Innovators, that was born out of AJ. It's about the same size, almost 200 employees today, and quite an operation. So Ludke's Spark in Bloomer puts those two companies. We'd be the largest employer in the area combined. As individuals, we're in the top 5. So a great story for the community, great story for the company as it's evolved and become more focused. One thing I noticed as I was preparing, we never took the time to stop and sort of capture the moments. We weren't good at pictures. We weren't good at those big moves when the building was going up or a piece of capital equipment came in. It was always about getting the product dialed in, service to the customer, new product development, and that's sort of the culture here. It's pretty industrious. We like to be humble in most everything we do. It's not that we're not proud of some of the products and service, but we just sort of go to work, and that seems to be the best approach for us.
Yeah, oftentimes, it's hard for contractors, construction companies to tell their story because, they're like, oh, I don't want to brag. But I'm glad that you're here today and that we're telling this story because I think understanding the culture and the fit for you to be able to say, we're just focused on really taking care of our customer and making these quality products. And we forget to tell our story. So thank you for taking the time to spend some time with me and share the information out there. I do want to mention that you're here because you're members of the National Frame Builders Association, and we donated to them a podcast, a MetalCast, and you bought it at their fundraising auction. And that is really cool. I love to see, we love associations at Metal Coffee Shop. We're involved in as many as we can be. And I'd like you to talk a little bit about why AJ Manufacturing is involved in NFBA and maybe what it means for you and how it's helped you in business.
I appreciate you acknowledging our participation. National Frame Builders, we're also part of some national organizations in our other part of our business, as well as state and some regional organizations. For us as a supplier, it's really about 100%, I think, giving back and serving our customers. When we're there and whether it's board service or event participation, or in this case, even the auction of an item where those funds go to scholarships for builder members and their family members that are going to focus on our industry, it's all about service. We find that beyond the service, the relationships that we grow, how close we get with the customers and non-customers, right? We're all in the industry. We get to know some suppliers. I think we get better at who we are. Our perspective improves. So, beyond the selfish reasons you might think where you're connecting to customers, the service part's really our focus. I will say this too, the administrative staffs for most of the organizations we work with are phenomenal people. You've worked with the ladies from the NFBA, and their passion is easy to leverage and create some excitement in that service. So,
yeah, and I'm curious how you're located in Wisconsin. How outside of Wisconsin are you shipping, and then how has you being able to meet other people in the industry through an association like NFBA helped you expand your footprint?
Yeah, the annual expo is really an important part of the National Frame Builders and our connection to customers around the country. It's difficult for me to travel everywhere, especially when we our business is really two industries. But the footprint AJ has is we're international in the context that on our HVAC side we ship worldwide, and we deal with business and industry that's worldwide and global. The post frame industry is substantially for us upper Midwestern, mid central U.S. It becomes a little bit of a logistical challenge to be competitive in various regions. The further we get from home, it increases some of the cost. But the Midwest is sort of the birthplace of post frame, the home. We work with most of the national builders who have locations scattered throughout the country. So product is ultimately shipped, I would say almost every state, but most of the contact happens in a 10 or 15 state area. COVID showed us that we had the resources and technology to interact just like this, a podcast or a Zoom call or a Teams meeting. We got more effective. We started to understand how to use those tools. So we stay in touch. We have salespeople that cover regions, and then we have a dedicated inside sales team that stays with groups of customers and serves with our outside sales team. So I think our customer experience pretty consistent. If you're a customer, you call, you have an outside rep, you have an inside rep, and then we're a pretty flat organization. You can ask to be transferred across the office, and myself or others in various areas of expertise will jump in. But that's how we communicate and stay in touch with the customer. We are. Our approach might be a bit unique. We tend to be builder direct. We have some distribution, but I think, the industry evolved years ago. It used to be all distribution, through lumber yards and so on. And it only took perhaps one customer to outgrow or outstrip that sort of supply chain and go direct. And then it makes sense, once you transact at that level, you sort of take the middleman out. So we are direct substantially. I think the advantage of that for our customer is, perhaps there's a little cost saving, right? There's one less step. But the direct contact means we're right next to the customer, the end user, with our customer. And that's how we try to look at the relationship of when we deliver product. It's not just getting it to our builder customer, it's getting it to the job site, and then it's the interface and interaction with the end user. They're the ones that put their key in the door. They're the ones that open and close the window. So we have to think through packaging, logistics, installation, service if there's an issue. It's construction. It happens outside in all weather with all sorts of variables, and things happen, and then we need to respond, and generally that's right with the end user.
Yeah, I was thinking as you were explaining that it really probably helps you have greater control over delivery schedules, quality of the product, because, once it leaves you, if it was going through a distributor, like you said, things happen, but that allows you probably to control that a little bit more, I would think, and I'm sure that the end user and the contractor appreciate that.
Yeah, I was thinking as you recognize that aspect, we had an engineer here, Tim Rogie, for many years, and a lot of folks listening might remember Tim. Tim said every attribute, every feature of our products was in response to an issue or a challenge. There's a reason why it's assembled in a certain way, or the materials are used in a certain way. And I think this relationship direct to the builder is evident in our products. Little things like packaging, you mentioned it. when nobody cares about the product more than we do in that moment that it's assembled. A lot of care is taken, very carefully handled, and then it's packaged. So the packaging designs have evolved. I think that some might argue we're overpackaged, but I'm here to tell you everything from our door to the building is working against us. The trucking industry, when it goes across the dock or transfers or is loaded or unloaded, we're competing with their interests in 100 different ways. Things happen. It gets bumped. It gets not strapped quite right. All sorts of things. And we can have trouble. So we try to defend against that all the way to the moment it's installed. And then we're pretty well assured it's the right product on time, delivered, ready to use. That's where taking distribution out helps. Because just like you go to the store, go to a big box, you look at a toaster, and the first thing you do before you put it in the cart is you check every corner to make sure there's not a hole where the screws came out or something was damaged, right?
Right. You don't want a dent on that toaster.
Yeah, it's a consumer thing, and that's how we try to see the world too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I will just say, as a testament to you taking care of your customers, the first date that we had scheduled to record this podcast, just a few minutes before, we got an email from Todd, and he said, I have to take care of a customer right now. I had something come up. I am so sorry. We're going to have to reschedule. And we, of course, said, no problem. We'll find another date. And kudos to you for, dropping everything and putting that customer first.
Well, appreciate that. We felt bad, but our suppliers, and you're a supplier, you're a consultant to us in a sense. We wouldn't work with you if we didn't know that you had the same values, right? So you understand what happened. Yeah, that happened to be in a different industry, and we don't like things to escalate. We don't like questions to go unanswered. Matter of fact, we have probably a culture here that we trip over ourselves sometimes in responding, and we reflect and we say we should slow down a little bit. Let's follow our problem-solving format. Let's get to the root cause before we jump to solutions. That's what we say. We don't want to jump to solutions or conclusions. We want to make sure we understand the root cause. In that particular case, customer was calm, relaxed. They knew we were going to help out and take care, and everything went fine. But it was critical in the moment to be there, hear the bad news, understand what's happening, and then make sure that they could translate that back to their customer.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Well done. Yeah, they do. And that's a testament to you that you said the customer was calm because he knew you were going to take care of things. So you've built that reputation for yourself, which is fantastic. I'd like to talk a little bit about innovation, right? Because especially in post frame and building design, there's always something new or fancy or trends going on. How do you stay on top of that? And are there things that you're excited about, like that you're seeing on the horizon that you're getting ready to prepare for?
Yeah, I think the honest truth is probably like many people feel in their industries, we feel like we're behind. We're trying to see the future. We're trying to be ahead. But the reality of it is sometimes we need our customer to tell us what the future is. It reminds me of a time there was a customer with an engineering director who said, what I want is a self-installing door. I said, well, if my first thought was that's impossible. But really what he was saying is, I need you to think about what we go through on a job site, the variability, weather conditions, time of day, pressure, stress, the fact that building materials are imperfect and skills vary. So they want us to think about what attributes in the product can eliminate risk, challenge, improve the reliability of the install. So he may have stated it in a way that was challenging, but we understood the message. From an innovation standpoint, I think product performance, buildings are getting tighter, the insulation values are improving, air exchanges are getting less and less as the products advance. Installation, I think, remains a key area. Products that are durable, reliable for many years of service. We happen to have, I think it's an industry-leading warranty on doors and windows, 5 years. But I can tell you that we take calls 6 or 7 years down the road. It might be a weather strip showing some wear or something like that, and we'll take care of it. But it's just about having that durable, long-term, low-issue type product. As far as innovation, we've had some pretty big advances with some trim systems on vinyl windows. We call it an EZV. Last year we came out with a couple of patent pending products. Seems a little bit insignificant. One is a ceiling or attic access door. It's in the ceiling. You have one in your home. Maybe it's in a closet somewhere. The scuttle. In the post frame industry, there's been a challenge over the years. We pioneered the first fully assembled, easy to install, self-trimmed, self-flashing, self-sealing ceiling access door probably 15 years ago now. And from there it's gone through evolutions, but there's a geometry challenge with getting the insulation in the door panel thick enough to match what typical ceiling insulations are. So as we wrestled through that over the years, we just couldn't find it until last year we had an exercise. We called it Minnow Tank, not Shark Tank. Bring your ideas, and we evaluated ideas as a team. We laughed a little bit. Some of us had hurt feelings because our ideas weren't viable. But the team had a moment. I was there. It was 6:15 in the morning in the woodworking shop, prototyping using, pieces of paper and tape. Next thing you know, we had a hinge moment where we have a patented hinge that allows for us to deliver high R value doors that really take care of the customer. It's the lifetime of the building, and those sort of innovations are maybe few and far between. We tend to be able to find them once or twice a year, and that's pretty satisfying to have an original thought, one that is viable through the patent process, which can be rigorous, and then of some value to the customer. They say, oh, something new, and we solved a problem. So it still happens.
That's very cool. Very cool. I'm curious how you get your feedback from installers, from builders. Is it just by talking to them at the shows you go to, or how does that work?
90% of it sounds like a complaint, I would say. We get a few calls. I would say a few calls where someone says, wow, I noticed this. I appreciated it. This is really of value to me. Most of the time, though, the call is they're missing a piece of information. They're not sure why we did it a certain way or how to use our product. And this is oftentimes a new customer or a new builder where, again, it looks like a complaint, but it's really a call for information or some help. And I think more often than not, we're successful in getting them navigating through those concerns. And then when we find an opportunity to leverage their ideas, that's even more fun when we can close the loop, going back and say, you were a part of this. We couldn't have done it without you. And we like to recognize that. But that's the dialogue. I get on the job sites. I'm sorry to keep going, but I do get on job sites. We don't have a formal service crew. We don't have anyone that is dispatched nationwide to service things. We find that our quality manager, or maybe our head of operations or engineering, myself, will travel. I've been on rooftops of buildings in California, New York. I've been on job sites in the deep south, poultry and hog farms. We take a look at what the real conditions are. We try to really understand what's happening and then come back and work on it.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that you go out in the field, that you see the job site, you experience it, and then you create better solutions, or you modify things to create those solutions. I think the story you shared with, being able to circle back and tell that person who was looking for more information, hey, look, we were able to do this because of you coming to us and asking these questions and asking for this information. You are a manufacturer that's listening, which is really great to see.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, that a lot of times that'll get you a T-shirt or a hat. we're not fancy, but it's a little something that says thank you. Yeah.
Sure. Yeah. No, I love it. I love it. So, what do you think? Looking to the future, especially in the post-frame world, what might people see coming down the road from AJ Manufacturing?
Yeah, well, I think the exciting thing is, oftentimes we sort of panic, right? What are we doing that's really special or forward-looking? There's broad swaths of time where we're just trying to get the work done, right? The good news is right now is we have never invested so heavily in technology and capital equipment as we have in the last 6 months, and we'll have equipment delivering over the next 6 months. We have some metal forming, folding equipment that is state-of-the-art arriving. We're prepared, and our facilities have been modified. The engineering team has been traveling for training, but we'll have some capabilities emerging that there's just no doubt our products will evolve. They'll become, I'm not sure, more consistent. They'll have attributes and features that would be challenging today for us to build into the product, but tomorrow it'll happen in 4 seconds. It'll be done, and it'll be done perfectly every time. So those investments in the literally the millions of dollars, which doesn't take much to spend nowadays, unfortunately, but we're making those investments. We're thinking and using terms like AI. We're problem solving. Still traditional. We follow some very strict formats, processes, so that we don't miss a step, and we have robust solutions. But we're including, I hate to even say AI, but we're exploring differently. We're broadening our inputs and our horizon. I think we're interacting and networking with our customers differently too, so that we're more in step with what they need. So the future is going to be, doors and windows look the same 1,000 years ago as they do today. Whether it was some sticks swinging on the side of a building to just an opening, they haven't changed radically. The materials, the designs, the performance will continue to advance, and how we do that will. So I think that. I think that's what the future looks like here. It's just a little different. Same products, good service, on time.
Yeah. No, it's great that you're open to that technology, that you're exploring it, that you're communicating better or differently with customers, how they want to be communicated with. We're doing everything from our smartphones now. It's you've got to be there, right? You've got to meet them where they're at. So that's fantastic to hear. I love it. All right, fine. Finally, though, I want to make sure we tell people, how do they find you? How do they get a hold of you? What, if they're like, I really like this company, I want to learn more about their products, what should they do?
Yeah, I think that the website's always a great place to just get a sense, right? It's just a snapshot in time of sort of what the width and breadth is of the products and who some of the people are, and that's www.ajdoor.com. There are some other AJ manufacturing in the world. We're AJ Manufacturing Inc. that defines us differently than some of the companies and others. But you'll see our logo. It's red with a white AJ, lowercase AJ in there. That's how you know you're there. You can call on the website. Our 800 numbers there. Our local numbers are there. We're in all of the trade association directories. Our salespeople, and we have a Facebook page, and we do some of those things. But if you call here, you don't have to be afraid of saying, I'd like to talk to Todd. Now, you may not get the right answer, but I know who will have the right answer. Vicki Wachtendonk heads up our inside sales team. She's very, very knowledgeable and can get you going the right direction. But I think the best step is, see who we are and then call. And let's have a conversation. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Todd, this was just a wonderful conversation. I'm so glad that you purchased the podcast to benefit NFBA's scholarship and that we got to share your story through this conversation. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and thank you everyone out there for listening. Be sure to subscribe to MetalCast on your favorite podcast platform because we want to see you on a future episode. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Ready to raise the metal roof? Subscribe to MetalCast now and stay tuned for all things metal roofing. Go to MetalCoffeeShop.com to learn more. Rock on, and we'll catch you on the next episode.